Alright, what is up my friends? Welcome to the Lost Caverns of Ixalan complete set review. Every single freaking card, constructed and limited, giving out all the awards you know and love. And we did white, we did black, we did blue. Now we're ready to go into red. I want to remind y'all on YouTube, folks, take a second, like the video, please. If you enjoy these set reviews, please like all of them. Hit play, hit like, helps a ton, support the channel, really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And we're gonna rock and roll here. I'm gonna go about 10 new brews next week. On the 9th, you'll see me playing these cards on early access, 10 new decks. Probably my favorite piece of content that I do. Very exciting, very, very fun. Look forward to that one as well. And then it set releases officially on the 14th, which is when Bronze and Mythic starts, and when you can play with the cards as well. So, holy crap. Let's rock and roll. With red, our first card here. It's an oldie and a goodie. It's a Braid, and it is also our Bombin Common. A Braid's real good, folks. Been around for a long time now, and 2 mana, deal 3 damage to a creature or destroy an artifact. It's already in standard, so for constructed-wise, it doesn't matter that much. But in limited, this card is going to be excellent, excellent, excellent. It's obviously a good removal spell in general, but there's a ton of artifacts in this set. There's also a ton of crafty artifacts too, so you can blow your opponent out trying to craft with this thing as well. This is going to be one of the best red commons, if not the best red common, I think, because of the flexibility of the shatter here. Also, not much more to say. It's a Braid. It's really good. It's very good contextually in the format, and it's great. Ancestors 8 is next. 2 mana for an instant common. +2 on first strike to end of turn and make a treasure. It's kind of like a pseudo 1 mana trick. The cool thing here is there are obviously elements that care about artifacts coming into play or artifacts being sacrificed. So you're putting a piece of material in play, which is kind of cool for that kind of stuff. +2/+0 and first strike should win most combats, but you can't use it to like protect creature from a burn spell. That being said, this is a finicky trick. It's your usual 2 mana trick. You don't want to take highly ever. Maybe you play it once in a while. It's kind of okay. Not a big draw. Just is what it is. Limited filler. Belligerent Yearling. This is a 2 mana 3/2 uncommon dinosaur. Freaking dinosaurs!
Give me what I want!
I want dinosaurs!
Very good, parents!
Alright, 3/2 trample for 2. Whenever another dinosaur ETBs under your control, you may have this thing's base power become equal to that creature's base power until end of turn. This card is good, right? A 3/2 trample for 2 is fine. Totally reasonable. Then you play a bigger creature later. Now it's a 5/2 trample, whatever. That's pretty good. It dies to cut down, unfortunately, which, is not great. But as far as 2-drop goes, it's reasonable. If there's a dino deck, it'll be playable. If there isn't, it's not. Good draft card. Is what it is, Bone Horde Draconosaur. And,
It's a trap!
sorry, folks. It's a trap. A lot of words in this card. It looks pretty good. But I think overall, not a very exciting card here. 5 mana for a 5/5 flying first strike. That's not bad. Beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. If you exile the land card, this way make a 3/1 dinosaur. Exile the non-land cards and make a treasure. So the problem with this card is that it's ridiculous stats. If this card lives, it is phenomenal. Very similar to kind of Baneslayer Angel, just your usual sort of 5 mana mythic. The problem is, if it dies, you get destroyed on tempo. 2 mana go for throat this, 2 mana make a Superior this, etc., etc. Odawara it, whatever. Tempo black hole. It has no effect on the board the turn you play it. Your opponent gets to untap and then kill it. And then, if it does live, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but you're just drawing cards. You draw an extra card or 2 and then make a 3/1. It's not going to help you beat an Atraxa or some like really, really powerful thing that's happening on the other side of the board. So the ceiling is good, but not like that high. I think if you put this ability on a like a 4/4 for 4, it'd be a lot more exciting. And I think it's, it is decent defensively because it is a 5/5 first strike for 5, but mostly just a fringe playable. You compare a card like this to, oh my God, what's it called? The 6/6 broccoli monster for green mythic 6/6. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you get like 3 life or token or whatever. That card like made an army, it gained life, and so on and so forth. And it was Elder Gargaroth. That was a card that was like fringe playable at times. Good sideboard card. Probably a good sideboard card, honestly, for decks that can't really kill it. This card will see some play, but this card is not like a, game shaking. It's not Sheoldred, And I think a Sheoldred is a difference in this card because Sheoldred wins the game very, very fast and keeps you alive at the same time. This card doesn't do either one of those things. It just gives you cards. So, yeah, so this is your typical Baneslayer Angel. It'll be good occasionally in matches where they can't kill it. If they can kill it, it's heinously bad. Busted and limited, obviously. But yeah, my trap card for this set. We'll see a little bit of play, but I think it's going to be overrated and then going to get Gova thrown it a lot, and then your opponent's going to be like, all right, cool. Or you're just going to be done with the, yeah. So that's Boner Dinosaur. Open it limited, though. Definitely a pretty busted card there. Moving on to another rare here in Brass's Tunnel Grinder. The meta for a legendary artifact. When it ETBs, discard any number of cards, and then draw that many cards +1. So we've seen that effect a bunch of times. Beginning of your end step. If you descended this turn, again, to descend means that you morbid for permanent cards. If a permanent card went into your graveyard from anywhere, you have descended for the turn. You put a boar counter on this. Then if there are 3 or more boar counters on it, remove them and flip it. It turns into the Searing Rift, a legendary land, also a cave. Taps for red. Whenever you cast a permanent spell by using mana produced by this card, discover X, where X that spell's mana value. That's pretty wild. So now we're not only drawing a card for every permanent spell you cast, we're casting it for free also, which is pretty great. This card's not bad. The problem is that the initial cast of a Tunnel Grinder is kind of rough. You're not really doing a ton with it. It does take 3 turns to go off also. But if you're using the graveyard well, also it's kind of cool. It's a weird one, honestly. It's kind of a weird card. Very hard to evaluate. My gut tells me it's too slow and takes a little too long to flip. Probably a great limited card. But overall, probably just a little bit too slow. Really cool card, though, honestly. But yeah, I think you can't really, also like proliferating or something like that, you can't really speed it up in any way. So overall, cool card, probably won't see too much play. It is cool, but moving on to Brazen Blade Master, the meta for a 3/2/3. Whenever it attacks, you control 2 or more artifacts, you get +2/+1. Artifact Synergy common, unlimited, bread and butter, sort of like nuts and bolts common, nothing great, but it's fine if you're the artifact deck, for sure. Breaches Eager Pillager. This card's nice. The meta for a 3/3. Goblin Pirate Legend rare, first strike. So 3/3 first strike for 3 is pretty good. Whenever a pirate you control attacks, choose one that has not been chosen this turn. So you can do this a maximum of 3 times each turn, and you can do each one once. You make a treasure, creature can't block, or exile top card of your library, you may play the card this turn. This card is really, really good. Contingent on there being enough pirates, right? So if I have a 1-drop pirate, then I have a 2-drop pirate, then I play this at attack, I immediately get a treasure and this thing can't block. That's incredible. So this is a really, really good card for any pirate deck. The question, of course, is, are there playable pirates? That remains to be seen. Obviously, there aren't really pirates in any other set, but there are some in this set. We'll see. The card is certainly very, very good. It also is good on rate by itself. It's a 3/3 first strike for 3 that triggers on itself as well. So very, very powerful card. Question being, how good are the other pirates? That's the only thing holding this card back. It's excellent otherwise. Really, really good. Great and limited, obviously. It's a goblin. What more could you possibly want, right? Arr. Calamitous Caven is next. And we got our sleeper card, folks. And unfortunately, all these cave things you won't really see until we hit the colorless section. Suffice to say, there are a bunch of caves in the set. It's a land subtype. There are common caves, uncommon caves, and rare caves. And limited, there's going to be a land slot, which will be a cave 70% of the time. And so lots of caves in limited too. And I think this card's pretty good. Similar to Gates of Blaze, in that this is a 4-mana sorcery, where it deals X damage to each creature and each planeswalker, which Gates of Blaze did not do. X the number of caves you control, plus the number of cave cards in your graveyard. So you have a lot of caves in play. This is a Wrath of God, which is pretty awesome. It scales as well. Costing 4 is a lot worse than 3, definitely, because a lot of the caves come in tapped. That being said, it's still a pretty powerful effect, and killing Planeswalker is also. And I think this card's a sleeper. I think the cave stuff's pretty sweet. Looking forward to caves and constructed. Lands are pretty powerful, and there are a lot of good ways to deal with them. We'll see. Am I right? Am I wrong? You tell me. Great limited card, though, also. Sleeper card for red is Calamitous Caven. Child of Volcano. This is a common 3-mana 3/3 with trample. Being your end step. If you descended, put a counter on this. So more limited filler. You know, won't be too hard to make it a 4/4. But even then, it's just like, you know, it's a 4-drop common card. It's kind of whatever. It is what it is. Burning Sun Cavalry. 2 mana for a 2/2 common human knight. Whenever attacks or blocks while you control a dinosaur, +1/+1. Good draft card. Bread and butter, limited common. Be a 3/3 fairly often, hopefully, if you have dinosaurs in your deck. Obviously, it's the kind of card that scales with your deck, but good draft card, good floor. Pretty good. Curator of Sun's Creation. We have an uncommon hill giant, human artificer. Whenever you discover again for the same value, but only once a turn. Constructed, no chance. It's just a hill giant. In limited, this card's pretty good if you're discovering fairly often. Obviously, a lot of value to be had here. That being said, the body's pretty bad, so not really thrilled about this card, honestly. You don't really need to do much to make Discover good. It just already is good intrinsically. So I think this card's probably just a trap in limited. A not very exciting card. Daring Discover is a 5-mana sorcery. 3 things can't block. Discover 4. Once again, as a reminder, Discover is basically Cascade with a few differences. It triggers when the spell resolves, not on casting, so it can't be countered. And then it also cascades into whatever the cost of the Discover number is, not based on the mana value of the card. And you can also choose to put the card in your hand if it's conditional and you don't want to cast it. So this one's kind of interesting. It's very similar to the old Cascade cards where it's some like finicky overcosted effect, but you're going to draw a spell and cast it for free also. What that spell is and the falter effect is very conditional to being very aggressive. So like, ideally you're going to play this card and win the game that turn. Therefore, cascading doesn't matter that much. So I think overall this card's pretty bad. But, you know, is what it is. Diamond Pickaxe. This is an uncommon 1-mana equipment with indestructible. Creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever it attacks, make a treasure. I think this card's really good. Gold Vein pick, or whatever it was, from Theros. Not Theros. Kaldheim was a very, very solid common. The fact that this costs 1 and then 2 to equip is definitely worse, because you'd rather to front load the cost and have the equip cost be cheaper. But this triggers on attacks, not dealing combat damage, so you always get the treasure, which is also good too. And then there also is a blue card that can animate artifacts into a 5/4, which is pretty awesome. A little wombo combo there too. So this card's very, very solid. It's also an artifact for your pirate deck and your everything else artifact deck. Card's just good. It's good, solid, uncommon. Constructed, I mean, probably not, but definitely a cool one. Cool flavor, too. Dinotomaton!
Technology.
They're at 4 mana for a 4/3 common menace creature. When it ETBs, creature you control gets menace. Just more filler. You know, filler limited card. It is a dinosaur and an artifact, so it does help with multiple synergy things. But realistically, just not a very exciting card. Just, you know, kind of okay. Dire Flail is a 1-mana rare equipment. This is the fanciest Bone Splitter of all time. 1-mana equipment, equip for 1, +2/+0. So Bone Splitter, which is honestly fine. Not a bad effect. It has Craft with Artifact 5. So 5 mana to pay this sorcery speed, exile this card and an artifact card from the battlefield or from your graveyard to transform it into the Dire Blunderbuss, which is also an equipment, +3/+0. And has, whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice an artifact other than this. When you do, this creature deals damage equal to its power target creature, which is pretty good, honestly. And then equip 1. So this card's really, really good. So you equip it on the backside. You have at least a 3/1 or a 3/0 or a 4/0. And then you get to attack and sack a treasure and just kill something every turn. Pretty awesome, honestly. Costs a lot to flip, obviously, but just a Bone Splitter at the start is totally fine. You know, in limited, phenomenal. In constructed, probably not. Although there are some good in artifacts equipment matter cards in standard right now, like Nahiri and so on and so forth. So like just playing a decent equipment in your deck is not the worst thing if you're working on that. Rebel Salvo is still legal also. So there's some support for it. So constructed is not crazy. In limited, this is a slam dunk bomb. So pretty cool. There is no auto equip on the backside, but it only costs 1 to equip, which is pretty good. So, cool card. Cool card. Pretty good. Great limited card. Outside shot constructed. Dowsing Device is next. 2 mana for an artifact. And Whenever this or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, up to one target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains haste on a turn. Then transform this if you control 4 more artifacts, and it turns into the Geode Grotto, which is a cave, very important. Taps for red. Pay 3 till end of turn. Target creature gets haste and +X/+0, where X the number of artifacts you control. Activate only as a sorcery. So, pretty cool card, honestly. So, if you play any artifact creature after this, it's sort of like a Fires Maya, where it just gives it haste and +1/+0, which is kind of nice. That being said, the upfront cost is a little rough because you're kind of just like spending 2 mana, not really doing much, but like 2 is pretty cheap, I think. So, whenever you play an artifact creature, it says haste +1/+0, which is kind of cool. It can pump other things as well. Might be a little too finicky for limited. Obviously not for constructed, but for limited, might be a little too cute. But does seem pretty cool, honestly. And the backside's pretty cool, too. So, it's also a cave as well, which is kind of nice. I think this card might get there in limited. Not sure. Might be too cute, but kind of cool. Dreadmaw's Ire. 1 mana for an instant. Uncommon combat trick. So, on a turn, attacking creature gets +2/+2 and trample. Target attacking creature gets +2/+2 and trample. And whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, shatter. That's really, really good. Obviously, somewhat limited to more aggressive decks, but +2/+2 and trample for an attacker for 1 red is already quite good. And then if you're able to kill one of the many artifacts with this card as well, that is phenomenal. This card's going to be a absolutely excellent limited card. Great uncommon. Even if you're not that aggressive, say you're like a blue-red pirate deck with a few flyers, you can just like 1 mana shatter, which is kind of cool. This card's really good though. Very, 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 very good card. Honestly, in constructed and outside shot, because trample is a very powerful ability to go along pumping stuff. So you're playing some sort of like double strike, whatever deck, you can give us trample with this, which is kind of cool. Also, you know, plays well with Picnic Ruiner and stuff. But yeah, great card, really, really good. Love it. Love it. Enterprising Scallywag, 2 mana for a 2/2 Goblin Pirate. Made for end step. If you descended, make a treasure. Pretty good Goblin. Obviously, a pretty exciting card for older formats. Crack a fetch land, obviously. Descending in old formats is trivially easy with fetch lands and stuff, so you can just get a treasure every turn. But in standard and newer formats, it's okay. It's 2/2 for 2. Treasure here or there, sure. Not sure what deck would really want this, honestly, in constructed. But it's a pirate, it's a goblin. I don't know. Great limited card, obviously. It's good value after 2-drop. But overall, probably mostly just useful for fetch line formats. Atali's Favor. 3 mana for a Aura. Enchanted creature you control. When ETBs Discover 3, so Cascade 3. Enchanted creature has +1/+1 and trample. Kind of a cool card, actually, right? So we have like a little bit of buff here with a free cantrip. Augments cards pretty well. There's like, small flying life linkers in different colors, things like that. Kind of a cool effect in that regard. Not super exciting, but it's also a permanent as well. So when your creature dies, it's a kind of a cantrip. And then when your creature dies, more cards are given for Descend also, which is kind of cool. Just kind of a cute draft card. Probably not super exciting, but it's fine. We got Bloodbraid Elf, Geological Appraiser, 4 mana for a 3/2 ETB Cascade 3. So this is just Bloodbraid Elf with no haste. Obviously, Bloodbraid Elf is a format-defining card. This card not having haste makes it much, much worse. Is this card playable and constructed? I don't know, honestly. Without haste, Bloodbraid Elf is much less exciting. That being said, Bloodbraid Elf was like, absurd in standard, so not sure about this one, honestly. It's not really as good of an offensive card as Bloodbraid Elf. And then defensively, it's fine, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure of this card. The jury's still out. Obviously, a rate limited card, but for constructed, not really sure. And then it also lacks the versatility against counterspells that Bloodbraid Elf has naturally, where Cascade is a trigger. Your Discover card must resolve to actually discover, because it's an ETB. That being said, you can flicker it, but yeah. Not a pirate. I don't know. I'm not sure. Great limited card, but we'll see. Goblin Tomb Raider. I'm at it for a 1/2. If you control an artifact, +1/+0 in haste. Not bad, honestly. It's a pirate. It's cheap. It can be a goblin guide if you have an artifact. Oh, it's if you cast it. I'm sorry. My apologies. Not a bad 1-drop, honestly. I think it's good to see playing constructed. It's a pirate. It's a goblin. Having artifacts not too hard. And if you're just playing like a pirate deck and you need a 1-drop, this card can do it for you. Plays really well with the Goblin Legend 3-drop because you get an artifact immediately when you just attack with it. So card's good. We'll obviously play constructed, I think, if it's a pirate deck. Probably worse than limited, but still a fine card overall. It's cool. Gold Furry Fury Strider, 5 mana for a 3/5 uncommon with trample. Tap 2 untap artifacts or creatures you control. Target you control gets +2/+0, but it's only as a sorcery, unfortunately. At instant speed, this would be really, really good. As a sorcery, it's still fine. You know, map tokens and random artifacts floating around. Being able to pump is pretty cool. Forces your things through. Pretty good body, blocks pretty well, but overall, not the most exciting card. If you're a super heavily invested artifact deck and you're in limited, pretty good, but not like bonkers incredible. Hit the Motherload. Very silly card. 7 mana sorcery, rare. Discover 10. Now we're saying the difference here between Cascade and Discover because Cascade can never get a card more expensive than the card is actually being cast. So this is a 7 mana spell that could get you 8 Ulamog, if possibly. That being said, the higher of a Discover number is, the harder it is to figure out what you're going to get, making it almost kind of worse in a way. But Discover 10, if a Discovered card's mana value is less than 10, make treasures equal to the difference, but they come in tapped, unfortunately, making this card basically unplayable garbage. Cute, fun, pretty damn bad. Wouldn't play with anything. Yeah, I guess you could play a deck with 4 Ulamogs, 4 of these, and nothing else. Good luck with that. But yeah, overall, just a stupid dumb meme card. Don't play anything. Foot Gnome, 3 mana for a 3/1 haste. It's a common, gives things haste, limited filler. Not a very good card, honestly. Idol of a Deep King, another a common here for limited. 3 mana for an artifact flash. ETB Shocks, and you can craft it with an artifact for 3 to get Sovereign's Sword, which ETBs and attaches, and it's just like a +2/+0 equipment. I mean, it's okay. Very, very clunky card. 3 mana for a shock is like pretty bad. And then you got to pay 3 mana more for it to craft. And it can be an equipment and yada, yada, yada. But, it doesn't seem great to me, honestly. 3 mana for a shock is just pretty sketchy. So this card's like kind of clunky and sketchy on all parts of the curve. So not very impressed, honestly. It's kind of a meh card. Inti, Sensual of the Sun. 2 mana for a 2/2 legendary creature human knight. Whenever you attack, you may discard a card. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on an attacking creature. It gains trampled end of turn. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile top card of your library. You may play that card until your next end step. This card's pretty gas. I think this card is really, really good if you're able to discard for value. If you're discarding like, a Blazing Root Wallet or a Fiery Temper, that is phenomenally good. Even if you're not, though, you're just discarding like a random land. You get to put a counter on your 1-drop and you attack, which is pretty cool. Then later on, you're drawing cards also. I think it's going to be a little hard to like actually cast spells off this. You need to play this 2-drop, untap with it, have it live, and so on and so forth. That being said, later in the game is pretty good also. Card's good. Good solid 2-drop, great and limited, great constructed. Card's quite good. Magmatic Galleon. 5 mana for a rare 5/5 vehicle. When an ETB, deal 5 damage to target creature opponent controls. It can kill Shielder. That is good. Whenever one of our creatures you control deals combat damage. I'm sorry. Whenever one of our creatures your opponents control are dealt excess non-combat damage, make a treasure. And then it accrues for 2. So 5 mana, deal 5 to a creature. You might get a treasure or 2. That's a 5/5 accrues for 2. Why is this card a rare? Am I missing anything? Galleon is controls. Yeah, this feels like an uncommon to me. I don't know. It's fine. It's a good draft card, obviously, but 5 mana to deal 5 damage to a creature an opponent controls. Like, I guess. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, sure, whatever. But yeah, all right, sure. Great draft card. Constructed, like, maybe, but the Deepest Might. This is the Red God. 4 mana for a 4/4 trample, which is obviously okay stats. If a red source you control would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than this is power to an opponent, that source deals damage equal to this power instead. Whenever it dies, comes back transformed as a land, and then Temple of Power is here, of course, as a land. Add a red or pay 3 and transform this back into the creature. Activate only if red sources you controlled dealt 4 or more non-combat damage this turn. Only as a sorcery. Very, very hard to flip back. You need to, like, you know, lightning axe them, or not lightning axe, whatever. Flame slash the flame, whatever. Just burn them in some way, and then also have enough mana to flip it. Very, very difficult to flip. Flipping this back is almost impossible. That being said, the front side is okay. You know, you can shock them, and then, or shock, and, you know, deal 4 instead of 2. Realistically, though, just not very good. Base, you know, for constructed, the base stats aren't very good. It's hard to get back. Might just get exiled anyway. Yeah. Also, some specific way to deal a bunch of 1 damage to your opponent. Like, over and over again. Seems pretty finicky. And even then, just like, it's a 4/4/4. They can just kill it. You know, like, so, card's kind of good limited card, though. Obviously, well, you know, just a 4/4/4 upside's pretty great. So, Panicked Altasaur. 5 mana for a 4/5. This is a common with reach. Taps to deal 2 damage to each opponent. Pretty good common, honestly. A good defensive card that can sit there, block, deal 2, block, deal 2, block, deal 2. Not a high pick or anything like that, but, you know, if you're playing a more controlling draft deck, this card seems like a very good finisher to have. If you don't get any good uncommons or rares, I like it. Plundering Pirate. They made it for a 3/2. ETB Treasure. I mean, it's just good. Just a solid card. Solid draft common. Pretty good. We've seen cards like this a million times. So, Poetic Ingenuity. They're meant for an enchantment. It's a rare. Whenever one or more dinosaurs you control attack, make that many treasure tokens. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, make a 3/1 dinosaur token. Only once turn. I like this card. Honestly, this card's pretty fun. Just like a never-ending source of 3/1 tokens, which is kind of cool. And I imagine you are going to be playing this in a deck with no dinosaurs and mostly just all artifacts, and choosing as a source for 3/1s over and over and over again. But yeah, kind of a fun build around. Probably not good enough for constructed, but I will definitely try. And then in limited, this card seems pretty cool. Also, you just make some treasures, make some dinosaurs, and you go from there. Tender little story moment here for Saheeli and Watley. It's kind of cool, and yeah, just cool, fun build around. Do not be surprised to see that card on 10 New Brews on Thursday, because it's a pretty fun build around and it looks pretty cool. Rampaging Ceratops. You have 5 mana for a 5/4. This is an uncommon. Can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Honestly, not very good, because it's not really big enough to capitalize on being blocked by 3 things. If I block with 3 2/2s, I might as well just block with 2 creatures. You know, like, it's like whatever. It's only a 5/4 too, so I think this card is you know, just whatever. Limited filler level. It's okay. Rumbling Rockside, which is a 4 mana sorcery. Damage, number of lands you control. Just your typical, you know, slow removal spell, unlimited. It's passable. Saheeli's Lattice. It's meant for an artifact. It's an uncommon. When it ETBs, you may discard a card if you do draw 2 cards. So a little bit of you know, tormenting voice kind of effect. It also crafts with 1 or more dinosaurs. 4 mana, 5 mana, exile this, and exile 1 or more dinosaurs you control and or dinosaur cards from your graveyard. And it turns into Mastercraft Raptor, which is a star 4 with power equal to the total power of all the exiled cards used to craft it. So, if you craft 2 dinosaurs that are both 4/4s, you have an 8/4, which is kind of cool. Unfortunately, no trample or anything like that. So, card's reasonable. Probably a good limited card for sure. You play it on turn 5, discard a land, whatever. You get a little more value later. Constructed wise, you know, the front side is probably good enough. You know, Tormenting Voice is, you know, almost playable and constructed if you're using it for whatever. It's also an artifact, which is kind of cool too. So this is definitely a playable card, and constructed and unlimited. I know it looks weird, you know, with craft with dinosaurs or whatever, but like the front part is just good enough by itself. So pretty cool. Scytheclaw Raptor. This is a 3 mana 4/3. Man, power creep's ridiculous these days. Sizing is just seeing a 4 mana 4/3 is still like, even though there's been a million of them, it's just still like wow. So every player casts a spell. If it's not during their turn, take 4. This is like your kind of an old school card, honestly. If this card was printed in like, you know, 2001, it'd be a 2/3 and it'd be the exact same card because it's just like very similar. Even like looks like a Urza Saga card. But yeah, card's kind of whatever. Like, you know, there aren't that many draw go decks in the format, that's for sure. It is good there, but, you know, good and limited, just well-sized. Seismic Monster Sword. This is the red land cycler, 6 mana for a 6/5 trample, which is pretty good. Pay 3, cycle land, draw a card, pretty good. Mountain cycling, pretty good. Just good, solid draft card. Also, the cycling cards are cool in this deck because, like, they just put a card in the graveyard for Descend, and they also count for Descend, or just Descending, which is kind of cool, whatever the hell it is. So, cool. Sunfire Torch is 1/1 mana common equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+0 and has whenever this creature does attacks, you may sacrifice this to deal 2 damage to any target. Equip for 1. This is more of like the actual shock in this set than that other card is, where just, you know, 2 mana, attack, shock, pretty cool, artifact, descend, permanent for the graveyard, equipment. Just pretty good card, honestly. Hits a lot of the boxes you want to hit, while a pretty good rate also. You can sacrifice it now, sacrifice it later, get a little pump. Good card. Very good common. Like it a lot. Sunshot Militia, 2 mana for a 1/3 human soldier. Tap 2 untap artifacts and or creatures you control. Deals 1 damage each opponent. Only as a sorcery. This is a common. Honestly, this is not bad. Like, kind of a weird card because there are diminishing returns. The second copy does nothing. But if you're looking for some reach in your artifact deck, it's kind of cool, honestly. Just sit back on your blockers and just like end step dink. Oh, I'm sorry, it's sorcery. Never mind. As sorcery, it's much worse. This card's pretty bad. If you're like flush with map tokens or whatever, you need a way to win. Sure, this card's pretty awful otherwise. Tectonic Azard, 1 mana for a sorcery, 1 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. Good sideboard card, seen it a million times. Triumphant Chomp, damage equal to target creature equal to 2 or the greatest number, Pest Power among dinosaurs you control, whichever is greater. The problem with this card is not as it is cast. So if I have a 5/5 dinosaur in play, and I play this card targeting their Shieldred, and they kill my dinosaur in response, this will deal 2, and I get absolutely blown out. So I think this card should have had the as you cast it rider text to make it more reasonable, honestly, because as printed, it's just like not super great. A sorcery shock as a floor isn't that bad, and it does scale up well and is certainly playable, but it definitely is a risky card for sure. Where you cast this card, you might be in a spot where you're like, they have this card, I'm getting blown out. That's a scary place to be. That being said, good draft card, possible constructed card, but still. Trumpeting Carnosaur. This card is awesome. Best in show with a 6 mana, 7/6 trample. Colossal Dreadmaw, eat your freaking heart out, alright? On the ETBs, Discover 5, so Cascade 5. That's very good. And then it has 3 mana. Discard this. 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker. So that's awesome, right? We have 3 mana to bolt something. That's obviously not the best, right? So the channel effect or whatever is, it's okay. Not great. But you excuse me. But later in the game, you just slam this thing. It's not quite a Tali. Like, but it is still a very powerful card, but it has utility early also too. So, card's really good. Very simple card, honestly. It just like channel for a bolt, Cascade 5, huge dumb creature. Card's great. Like it a lot. And, yeah, not much to say here. Honestly, it's just a pretty simple card, realistically. Great, obviously busted limited. Great draft card. Love it. Who's it dancing? Not me, unfortunately. Volatile Wander Glyph. 2 mana for a common 2/2. Whenever it becomes tapped, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. This is a good draft common, honestly. Just like get some loots on, can crew stuff. It's an artifact. It's 2/2 for 2. Good floor. Good draft common. Like it. Ziyawa's Justice. 2 mana for an instant uncommon. The owner of target artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles it into their library. Then that player discovers X, where X is its mana value. So you have a Chaos Warp kind of effect for all you commander players. This will destroy any artifact or creature, but then it will give them 1 of the same mana value. This is more of like commander card, right? This also can't kill enchantments and stuff too. It only kills artifacts and creatures. So I think overall this card is probably just garbage. But what are you gonna do? So to recap for red, Trumpeting Carnosaur is our best in show. Calamitous Caven is our sleeper card. Bone Horde Draconisaurs are a trap card, and our Bombin Common is a braid. Red is done. You two folks love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Reen's coming up.